Jingiwala. My name is Evelyn Araluen, and today I'm coming to you from the lands of the Woiwurrung Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation. Before we begin, I would like to pay my respects to their ongoing custodianship and care for country, to remind us all that the Kulin Nation has been caring for this place since time immemorial, and it is their sacrifice, their sovereignty, and their protection of their homelands that we must always be honouring and respecting as we as visitors pass through and do our work in this very important place. Today, it is with a lot of honour and excitement that I am able to announce the winners of the Nakata Brophy Prize for Young Indigenous Writers. This is a really exciting prize. It's a collaboration between Overland Literary Journal and Trinity College in Melbourne. It's a prize specifically aimed at our young emerging First Nations voices in poetry and in short story in alternating years. This year, our winner of the poetry category will be awarded a $5,000 prize and a 3-month writing residency at Trinity College, Melbourne, which is very exciting. This year, we were absolutely inundated with some of the most fantastic submissions I've ever seen. This is just testament to the wonder and the power and success of our young First Nations voices. It was a real honour for me as a judge alongside Gail Allen and Toby Fitch to be able to read and enjoy so many incredibly beautiful submissions, but it's definitely been one of the hardest moments of my career as an editor, to have to choose a winner out of this incredible body of submissions. So I would like to first congratulate everyone who entered. We are so proud of you and we are just dazzled by your work. I would like to especially congratulate and thank all of our shortlistees. You were all wonderful and incredible writers, and all of the work that you are going to be able to hear today is, as I believe you will find, worthy of its own publication, of its own awarding, and of its own tremendous respect and enjoyment. We have a very special event today, and we are actually going to be able to hear all of the poems from our shortlist read, which is a real treat, and I hope you enjoy every single one of these submissions. First up, we have the poem Yawo by the incredible young writer Jasmin Mcgaughey. Yawo is about allowing yourself to feel like you belong and to believe in your connection to place spiritually and through bloodline, and I'm sure you're going to love this poem. Jasmin is a Torres Strait Islander and African-American writer. She's studying a Master of Philosophy in Creative Writing and is a junior editor in the Black and Write project. She's also a recipient of the 2019 Next Chapter Fellowship. Jasmin's always loved reading and writing and is proud to work and learn with First Nations writing, and we think you are going to really enjoy her poem.
Hello, this poem is called Yawo. I'm humming up here right now. I'm humming on ocean's blue, sand so hot I burn, but burn with fierce love, for the island woman, by the island woman. The blush of midday sees dropping diamonds against the sea. Laugh with me now, because this island woman, she can't swim. See her frown, but quirked lips. Hesitant feet, lightened crystal liquid, stretched neck, never cowed under heat. Life glides by, scuttles by, fish the colour of sand, shells sinking deep under blue. Ignore the holes, pincers, they're unforgiving. Be with me when I leave, I beg. Be my calm, my focus, my heart. Hum with me now, the rhythm of blue, green, black and white. Know you belong. Like a love letter goodbye, I sing in silence. Yawo, but not forever. Yawo, but see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your reading, Jasmin. Next, we have Kirli Saunders' poem Corroboree. This poem was written in response to our first Corroboree on Gundungara lands after 159 years of still feet. It seeks to honour our old people and the ceremonies that keep us connected. Kirli Saunders is a proud Gunai woman and award-winning international writer of poetry, plays and picture books. She's a teacher, cultural consultant and artist. Kirli created poetry in first languages delivered by Red Room Poetry. In 2020, Kirli was named the New South Wales Aboriginal Woman of the Year.
Video, Nya Kirli Saunders acknowledge Mirani Gananugang, Tarawa Madung Borengeling Yangu. I acknowledge the strong Tarawa people today. I'm beaming in from Port Kembla, and Didjurigurani ni Ganai Yuan Ganagara Birapai Gadigal Borengeling. I give my thanks to my ancestors for my Yolwangdui, for my strong dreaming. It's because of this dreaming that I am a storyteller, and I'm sharing a poem with you today that has been recorded on Dharawal land and was written on Dharawal land about an experience on Gunungara country where I was born and raised. This poem is Corroboree, and it's for those who dance, and it's been supported by Gunungara interpretations provided by Auntie Trish Levitt. So Didjuriguranyini, thank you, Auntie, for those wonderful language words. I feel really grateful to be on my language learning journey. Corroboree. 1. Auntie Lou rounds Mum's face with a riverside blessing. Smoothing healing in place of shame, she paints us in ochre with markings different to Gujaga. This is their first Corroboree, and though we are of age and have been for a time, this is our first too. 2. We follow the aunties through smoke, teach the young ones how to breathe and bathe off bad spirit, watch the men teach the boys the same. Listen to the elders who are too old to dance as they welcome us and show us why we are here. To honour Gumuang da Auri, to carry the rain back to chapped lips, creeks, cheeks and rivers. 3. It's been 159 years since our feet have been burnt, sealed and healed by black earth, since hands have clapped red and raw, our voices coarse from singing up the spirit of country under Nabung Bunyul. Today, and our Tangara will shake the dry, and we will swell and sway with Boringiling, welcoming abundance home to this land. Proudly united, we stand and wait for Aunt to start. She raises her hands, reminding us that our old people know the way. Our old people know the way. Didjuriguranyini, thank you, Overland, thank you, Trinity, for the opportunity to share this work, and congratulations to all of the other celebrated writers. It's such a privilege to be a part of the Nakata Brophy this year.
Thank you, Kirli. Our next incredible poem comes from the wonderful Katanya Maynard. It's called Pink Gumboots. Pink Gumboots is the inevitable loss of our childhood innocence and the aftermath that is our adult lives, the realisation that the rose-tinted glasses have been lifted. Katanya Maynard is a Trawlway woman of Nipaluna, Hobart in Lutruwita, Tasmania. Since a young age, Katanya has been a storyteller and always aspired to be an artist. She's gone on to establishing herself as a musician and is now emerging as a writer and poet.
Yeah, everyone, my name is Katanya Maynard and I am a very proud Palawa Pakana woman of Lutruwita, or as others may call it, Tasmania. More specifically, I am of the Trawlway mob of the Northeast. I'm super honoured to be shortlisted for the Nakata Brophy Prize, and I just wish nothing but luck and prosperity to all of my fellow shortlistees. We're all too deadly, and I'm so excited to hear your work. I am here to recite my poem, which is called Pink Gumboots. It basically explores that idea that as we get older, we start to look back and see things differently to how we first initially remembered them. And I think we as Aboriginal people, you can very easily fall into a negative mindset as you get older because of all the trauma that we face throughout our growing up and throughout our adult lives and from generations before us. So, I hope people who hear my poem, whether you be Aboriginal or not, find a piece of yourselves in it, and I just hope people like it. Anyway, here it is. Some days I wish that I could live underwater, to sink and sink until I hit the bottom, staring up at the light coming down through the surface, reaching out my hands and flexing my fingers through the velvet plains of the ocean. My body weightless and my mind at ease, nothing but blissful silence. I don't remember what silence sounds like anymore. It's like a foreign body lost in space, completely out of my reach. We take such things for granted and mourn them when they're taken away. I knew peace when I was young. They are memories that are worn in the corners and creased all over. Photographs wedged and crammed into the grooves of your mind. They are watering the plants and the pink gumboots I loved and refused to remove. The flapping of the first fish I ever caught on a broken down jetty. The feeling of singing for the first time on stage. These were beautiful things, and they still are. But we're human and we grow up. We grow up and begin to look backwards with new eyes. We see things that make us shudder, that make us cry. We begin to remember the bad memories more intense than before. And those bad memories are not like photographs. They are like brands scorched into your being. They are a forever pain that sometimes lasts for a lifetime. What do I have now? Thank you for listening, and I hope you liked it.
Thank you, Katanya. Our next wonderful poem comes from Vika Mana. It's called Straight Back Home. Straight Back Home is a stream of consciousness describing the moment of returning home, about kinship and connections, and lastly, a dark reminder that climate change is affecting our island homes. One day, home might become a memory. Vika Mana is a storyteller that takes many forms. They perform poetry, write criticism, breathe life into words, and lastly can share a joke or two max. That's because they only know exactly 2 jokes. Vika is also a part of the family collective rapping about Tais and abolition, and is also a 2019 recipient of the Next Chapter Fellowship with the Wheeler Centre.
I gave cyclones the names of my siblings, just so I could pretend that we all went back home at least once. But none of us made it back for 14 years, until last Christmas. I remember the first time we said goodbye to our village. I remember my grandfather, belly full of food and laughter. He taught me a magic trick and promised to teach me once I came back. He never did. I think he may have forgotten, or maybe 5-year-old me clung onto unnecessary memories. I remember the ocean and how it would serenade those who'd listen, forming soft vows that would crash on top of each other, putting babies to sleep. I remember thinking the ocean was my home, and wanting to reach the bottom. I'd swim and swim and swim, but my lungs weren't big enough for that adventure. I remember the shipwreck that kids would slide down on. It was my favorite place, besides the beach that had sand that looked like diamonds. They say ghosts lived there. I would later find out that this was true. When we came back home, we flew through a storm. It was as if home knew we were coming, splitting the sky open and crying because its children had returned. When we arrived in our village, our family hugged us till our ribs ached, till our hearts were no longer sore. My cousins treated me as if I never left, catching up on years of teasing. My aunties were all prepared for our arrival. After all these years, keeping mats big enough to include us so we could sit down with them one day, listening to childhood stories whilst chewing on salty plums and ice blocks. I tried to talk to my family as much as I could, but my language was forced out of me, scared out of me. I cannot shapeshift back into myself. It feels like my mother tongue has disowned me. Australia once again removing children from their family. I tell them I hate them through gritted teeth, with venom and honey. How dare they make me sound like them? How dare they erase my outlines and dislocate my throat with their crooked smiles and good intentions. We learned to dance again, and when our feet hit the ground, the earth sung, mimicking the beats of the drums, our limbs telling stories like our old people who were watching, and our old people before them. In the morning, our feet were swollen, but salt water would take care of that. I took a tour of my home, led by my mother and my mother and my other mother. They showed me the beach, sunset pinks creeping on the horizon. The beach was much smaller. Sharks swam in ankle-deep water, craving for food, both human and animal. I noticed the shipwreck was gone. They say the last storm took it, ripping its roots from our shore. I noticed that the houses were closer to the shore. I noticed the different colors of the sea, not like what they used to be. The ocean looked dull and didn't sing like it used to. The ocean is drowning in pollution and eating at the edges of our island. Fish are slowly disappearing, and when they come back, they don't taste or look the same. The seasons are no longer definitive, and some are slowly disappearing. The heat feels different, uncomfortable, and dangerous, as if it could burn you from the inside out. Everything is dying quicker, including the people. When will our deaths matter for you to care? My home is constantly changing, and not because it wants to. I want to go home again, but I'm afraid my island won't be waiting for me.
Thank you, Vika. Our next incredible poem comes from Ancestress, and it's called The Stinging Bee. The stinging bee cross-examines the ecological impact of a harmful invading colonial insect with the ongoing suffering experienced as a result of the colony itself from a Murri perspective. Ancestress is a writer, poet, singer, and performer whose art practice revolves around climate change, ecological and social sustainability, and therefore the importance of land rights and sovereignty and the interrogation of colonialism.
The stinging bee. There's a hive of stinging bees alive in my chest. The sting never hits the flesh. The stings never hit the flesh. These bees are not Murri, not known to me, foreign, angry, invading on me. I've watched dances about when Murris made this discovery, heard old songs to tell the stories of just how these bees came to cover me, from the inside out, this constant buzz, too heavy for me to carry, always the same, always begins again. These bees create pain. To this land, they don't relate. Too big to pollinate our most delicate small blossoms and flowers. These bees will never be Kucha or Kava. These bees, I was warned by my father, create pain, don't belong. These bees, that dance, that song, why am I filled with so much wrong?
Thank you, Ancestress, and also thank you to all of our other incredible shortlisted poets, Vika, Ancestress, Katanya, Kirli, and Jasmin. You are all incredible writers. We loved your poems so much, and we can't wait to read more of your work. We are now going to announce our final places, the runners-up and the winner of the Nakata Brophy Prize. First off, we have Tais Rose with her running-up poem, From a Place Unknown. From a Place Unknown explores the motion of finding one's way back to country, language and culture despite not knowing its origin. Tyus Rose is an Aboriginal writer and weaver living on Bundjalung country. With a complex displaced cultural identification through ancestral dissociation, her poetry seeks to highlight the significance of decolonisation work while celebrating the resilient sentience of Aboriginal culture and connection to country that is inevitably passed on through blood.
Chingiwala everyone, my name is Tais Rose and I'm coming to you today from unceded Bundjalung country, and would like to begin by paying my absolute deepest respect and gratitude to the Arakwal people as the traditional custodians and caretakers of this land. Today I will be sharing my poem called From a Place Unknown. Acacia all black from the bone cup, and a daughter born with a blue quandong sucked to the stone between her lips. The shadow of a camphor laurel leaf, red-bellied and heavy at the surface, its branch eaten smooth by a current of pearls, and the velvet at the heart of a banksia, broken under a foreign heel. The mandra's new shoot, ripe for basket weaving, and a tongue-speaking language, and something else for those of us who can't remember how, with words wilted that don't touch the ground, too bitter in the mouth for the familiar heartbeat of bush, low, man-dra, and other plants uncommon whose seed need burning and knowing hands. And then the blood, resilient and resinous like sap falling inward, beating for country I do not know, behind eyes open, dreaming of dreaming and undreamt too. Under ashen silt and the grey in between, a quartz casting light through muddied waters alive with freshwater grayling. And if you listen closely, you can hear the gold in the riverbed.
Thank you, Tyus. Our next runner-up is Jasmin with Sweet Smoke. This poem is dedicated to the humbling work of the Djapurong Embassy, written with their blessing. Jasmin is an award-winning poet, filmmaker and educator of Wiradjuri heritage. Her poetry has been published widely across Australia and reimagined as murals, visual art and video art. Jazz is grateful to live on the beautiful sovereign lands of the Darug and Gundungurra nations. And I should also add that Jazz has just recently won the David Unaipon Award for the manuscript that this poem is in. So we're so incredibly excited that we'll be seeing this in print hopefully very soon. This poem's Sweet Smoke.
Yiradimarang Nindaga, Jazu Nadi, Radri Yana Baladu, Dara Gundungurra Nirambangwarana. I'm at home on the lands of the Darug and Gundungurra. I want to pay my respects to elders past and present, extend that respect to my own Wiradjuri elders, and also to give thanks to all the custodians across the many countries that have come together to make this digital event possible. I'm so stoked to be a finalist in the Nakata Brophy and to be sharing that status with so many deadly poets. It's such a joy. I'm going to be doing a reading. It's of my poem called Sweet Smoke, and it goes like this. It starts with smoke. It always starts with smoke. Mother's bird at the belly, swollen as the great trees, come to this place, painted and slow, with a gasping gift, canopy medicine to welcome the person on hands and knees, whose new blood makes magic, makes the earth anew. The grunting sweat, almost terror, turns to bliss, as sweet cries wake the bush, wake first eyes. Sweated face becomes pure, like rain like daybreak. When the world shifts from two set, wet heartbeats, the wet orange womb glow, to bright white light, and the gasping bub of daybreak cries, there is white smoke. To clear the bush, to cleanse the air, to welcome wrinkled and furled as a new leaf. Sweet medicine in the Coolamon, carried wet and green, and old hands born here too, know the way to ash tie belly knots. Clever hands don't forget this place, where life begins. Tell it to the bubs, to pass on to theirs, when strangers come, when other trees fall. Here is a vast hollow medicine tree. This is where life begins. A tree so great, has a memory so long, can feel the way the air has changed. Hard rivers have formed in this bush, black flat tar, where great steel fish swim, smoke turned dirty. And the river of destruction comes closer. White hands, white hats, white clipboards avert their gaze from her, mark on gridded maps to bring death here, to a place of life. And so it starts new, with smoke and familiar campfire, sweet smoke, for birth, for fight. Textures change and languages combine, the old words remain, return. Medicine remembered, fires built the proper way. People gather, paint bodies, paint signs. She waits, she sighs, remembers the thousands she birthed here, sees them return, carrying ancestors, carrying bubs, carrying the weight of police and policy and time together, carrying sweet smoke to keep her safe. That piece is dedicated to the humbling work of the Djabwurrung Embassy and all they are doing in their fight for country. It's written with their blessing. Mandangu, thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. Just before I announce our final place, the winner of this year's Nakata Brophy Prize, I would just like to take a moment to thank again all of our entrants, all of our shortlistees. As you can tell, the quality of this year's prize was truly exceptional, and we are so proud of every single one of you writers. You all deserve enjoyment and accolades, and your poems are all so powerful and should be read again and again and again. It's always a really, really challenging experience judging a prize, especially judging one blind. And when you have so much talent and incredibly exceptional work to select, your work is really cut out for you. So a big thank you to Gail and to Toby for making some of these agonizing decisions alongside me. I hope everyone has been enjoying these incredible words that we've been able to share today. And thank you to all of our incredible poets for agreeing to record and share the work. I hope you get to see every single one of these poems in print very soon. Our final poem, the incredible award-winning prize poem for this year's Nakata Brophy, was a really provocative and challenging piece to read. Every one of the judges can attest to the impacts that this poem has immediately upon reading or upon hearing. It's a provocative poem. It speaks to some of the ugly realities and truths of the society that we continue to live in under racism, under police violence, state violence. It's confronting, and it is incredibly brave and bold to be speaking to those realities that confront First Nations people every day in this land. As such, we are so proud to be able to award this poem and to award that confrontational bravery of this poem with this year's prize. So my tiny drum roll, And a huge congratulations to Grace Lucas-Pennington for your poem, Superstition. Superstition borrows concepts from quantum physics to explore current, at times competing narratives about this continent's history. Grace is a Bundjalung European person living on Yuggarapool land. She grew up mostly between Bundjalung country on the New South Wales North Coast and the Greater Logan-Brisbane area. Grace is currently the editor for the State Library of Queensland's Black and White Indigenous Writing Project. Huge congratulations to you, Grace. We know you are so deserving of this prize. We love this poem so much, and we are sure that all of our listeners are going to enjoy it.
Superposition. Too many blacks going around thinking they own the place. An old problem. Time was they knew their proper place. Hard workers, the blacks. These days, can't go 2 steps without falling over one telling us we're the problem. Lazy, good for nothing. Yep, too many uppity, won't stay in their lane blacks. They're lucky we came here. Here sits an edifice, a pulpit raised of shears, rum barrels, chains, ships, bullets, theft, and blood-red death. Book-lined, velvet-curtained, veneered in an unctuous justice that sanely copes any lives joined. Within, a man sits, tracing ghostly ink, a revolution emergent. As if thrown, a hair shirt spirals, verdant, now down onto the stage. Twixt the sombre stacks of once trees, much unvisited. The man stops, picks up the bristling hair shirt, now heretic, ascending a stair, others' hands erected. Curtains part, reveal iconoclast, spelled out in neon tubing, pulsing against the white wall. Tomes clasped chestward, he, our reluctant cynosure, speaks, voice rising. A street punk academic mutiny, circling back toward lost fecundity, standing, blinking, manifest sunlight. Crowds swerve, bend ears, listen. There was always life before you, as there is always life after you. You have never been the first or only. An old story. Like a tree dragged upright, this roar shunts a world. Somewhere deep, stone stratum cracks, unfastens earth-strong membranes. Wave functions collapse. Potentialities, formerly certified stable, now diffract, corrode, end their coherence. Palaces and towers shed birds like skin. Certain stories are fences. Certain stories are seeds. Gauche bylines, slop our troughs to brimming, gonna destroy him. The adamant fences cling to zero-sum fabrication, real history. Mainlining, militant, indignant feeds, maddened, erupt, made it up, fraudster, not farmers. A vague, relentless, clouding morass. So what if there were houses? You couldn't invent the wheel. Overwhelm, civil semblance, savages. two positions superimposed. Can't just rewrite history.
So thank you again to all of our entrants. Thank you again to our judges, Toby and Gail. Thank you to Trinity College for your continued support for this prize. Thank you to our Overland readers. We look forward to you getting to read Superstition in our upcoming print winter edition, and then our shortlisted poems online on Overland very shortly. Thank you to all of our shortlisted writers. We love you all so much. We are so proud of all of you, and we hope that everyone is happy and safe at this time, and that you are enjoying and engaging with the incredible power